Okay, I'm from a town called Kingston, Ontario, and here's the thing. I love my hometown. I can make fun of my hometown, but if you make fun of my hometown, we got a problem. But here's the thing. In Ontario, there's a whole bunch of towns that are just like this. Oshawa, Ontario comes to mind as being one of them, except there's a brand new show called Destination Oshawa, and it is a show that is a comedy about what would it look like to try to transform this town into one of the places that you actually want to visit. Except it's a comedy that is made lovingly by people who are from Oshawa about Oshawa.
People have been trying to change Oshawa for decades.
The dirty schwa.
The dirty schwa.
The dirty schwa.
It's obvious we're in desperate need of a rebrand. My solution? An elite tourism task force made up of highly skilled individuals with one mission: reintroducing Oshawa on the global stage, boosting tourism, and making millions in the process.
Wayne Petti is here, and he's here to tell you about why the show connects so beautifully with people who uniquely understand that experience. Wayne, welcome to the show, friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. Let me start by saying maybe people need to understand a little bit more about Oshawa to understand this conversation. So for someone who's never been there, has never made the drive 45 minutes east of Toronto, describe what they're going to find. What is it like to grow up in Oshawa?
Well, when I grew up, it was very much blue collar town. It was factory town. That shifted in the 90s. GM started closing some plants. And then it kind of, because of its proximity to Toronto, became a bit of a commuter town. GO train started going in the 90s. 407 now goes through most of Durham region. So it's a bit sleepier, I would say, in some ways. But I always found it, a lot of people think Windsor's sort of you're like Detroit, but I always felt that Oshawa was the Detroit of Canada. It, the motor town roots, but also like a great rock and punk rock scene in that city. And it is a little rough around the edges, like Detroit, I guess, but it has its charms.
If you're gonna just give like one characteristic that's like, this is roughly what it's like what to experience Oshawa, what would that characteristic be? What's a defining thing?
It's gritty. It's a hard-working town, you know? You have to grind it out. And I think that's one of the things that, when Cuff the Duke started, certainly that was our takeaway. We were going to be a blue-collar band. We weren't going to be a band from Toronto. Even when we moved to Toronto, we always said we were from Oshawa. Yeah. We were going to play 150-plus shows a year, grind it out, make your fan. So that aspect of Oshawa is very ingrained in having grown up there. Like, that's just a big part of it.
Wayne, I grew up in Kingston, Ontario. I've lived in Toronto now for 16 years, and I refuse to tell anybody that I'm from Toronto because I'm like, listen, I am well and good and rooted in Kingston. That's a different thing. It's just a different environment than to be from quote-unquote Toronto. So then along comes comedian Hannah Veldoon, who, like you, is from Oshawa. She stars in this new comedy about the city that's sort of trying to market itself as like, oh, here's like a new hip happening place. But first of all, when you hear the premise of the show, what's the thing that comes to mind for you?
I thought it was hilarious. I was excited to see it. I mean, I watched it. It's, like when you're from a place, you can make fun of the place. You can kind of laugh at yourself and you can have a laugh at the situation. But if someone, in the show, they call it dirty schwa, and growing up, we just called it the dirty dirty. Yeah. But if someone from Toronto called it the dirty dirty, well, now we got a problem. That's not going to fly. So I love that it sort of pokes fun at itself, and but Oshawa definitely has a struggle with its identity in a way, like a lot of Southern Ontario towns that are transitioning out of like factory gritty. They're trying to find their way, and it's but it's fun to think of it, Oshawa, as a destination. Can it be a destination? Is that possible? I think it could be.
I just also just appreciate the idea that like, hey, we can say the name. You can't say the name. If you're from outside this place, you may not. That's insulting. But us, we say it lovingly because we actually, as a matter of fact, are from here and we live here. It should be noted, like this show is made without the cooperation of Oshawa's actual tourism board, which is a real thing, by the way.
Of course.
As someone from Oshawa, like what aspects of the show, as you watch it, feel to you very on point? Like you watch it, go like, oh, this show understands Oshawa.
What really struck me actually was they go to the Human Rights Garden. I think in episode 2, or anyway, it's in one of the earlier episodes, and that's a wonderful thing, Human Rights Garden, that they built a Human Rights Garden. It's in the Ed Broadbent waterfront park.
Mm-hmm.
But then, on the other hand, why is that? Does it exist in Oshawa? Yeah, like they're sort of poking fun at it, and it's in an area where there's these sections of the garden, and it's just
Yeah.
it's not quite a bullseye, and I think that's what they're
Wait, the look of
saying.
puzzlement.
Oshawa tries so hard to do these
Yeah.
things, and it's never quite.
The look of puzzlement on your face is actually perfect. I should say to the people listening on the radio that Wayne is giving this look of like, and why does that exist? Why is that the way that it is? It's a good thing that the show sort of highlights it that way.
I think so, because there's nothing bad about it.
Yeah.
It is beautiful that Oshawa took time to make something like that. But it's, I don't know. Watch the show. You'll see what I mean.
I know, and I think like you saying that the show captures that confusion is actually like a really, really wonderful thing. I should say like the show has a colorful cast of characters, both within sort of Hannah's tourism task force and also just like on the streets of Oshawa. When you watch a show, like, does it feel like, oh, these people are very specific? There's something very specifically Oshawa about them, or are you kind of like, no, this is just a stock sort of stock characters of comedy put in place in Oshawa?
No, I think that the characters are totally relatable.
You mean Oshawa relatable?
Well, no, I think just in general, like the small town sort of. So there's an episode where they write a song about Oshawa. It's like this sort of hip, and it's kind of awesome, And it's the character's a janitor who's just kind of a knucklehead, and then there's a son of someone at the local government, the regional, like maybe he's the mayor's son or someone like that, and they make this song, and it's incredible. It's like you have these two random people, but the beauty of it is that they care. Like they genuinely do want to present this song in a way that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that that's relatable because in Oshawa, I know a lot of friends that are still there and are involved in the community and do a lot of amazing things. And it's often in their orbit, the people you least expect that do something really amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that really comes across, and, it's funny too, of course, because they are poking fun at it, but it is relatable, I think. And it's, I thought it was, I could see people I knew in the show for sure.
Well, I was gonna say, let me ask you this: like, there's gonna be somebody listening to this who's not from Oshawa, thinking this is quite a hyper local show. Like, there's a lot of the humor from this has to do specifically with this one place. What do you think someone who's not from Oshawa will get out of watching the show?
Well, I think that's kind of the beauty of it is that it is, there's so many towns in Ontario and across Canada, frankly, that are in a similar position. Yeah. Where they're sort of less than 200,000 people. They maybe have a hockey team and they have a museum, and they have things like this. But, like a Belleville or a Peterborough, like they have the similar struggles. Yeah. And so I think it's total, because what are they doing to get people to their towns, And I think it is super relatable. And they're trying to say, okay, well, what's special about where we live?
As someone who's, again, as I said earlier, from Kingston, Ontario, that's exactly you're describing my town. So I appreciate you saying that, and I appreciate your time, Wayne. This has been really wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, absolutely! I love to talk about Oshawa. Also, great hat.
Look
in
at
the
us,
spirit of Oshawa.
A little bit of a matching hat situation. This is great, Wayne. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Talk to you soon. Wayne Petti is the lead singer from the band Cuff the Duke and an artist manager currently based in St. Catharines, Ontario. You can watch that show, Destination Oshawa, on Bell Fibe TV1. That's it for the show today. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. We'll be back tomorrow. We'd love to see you then.